In global politics, some decisions are made so quietly that by the time the world hears them, it is already too late. This is the story of a president who went to sleep as a ruler and woke up as a prisoner. At exactly 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, inside a secured room at Mar-a-Lago, a final order was given. A single word changed everything. Proceed. Off the coast of Venezuela, U.S. warships waited silently in the darkness. From 20 military bases, more than 150 aircraft rose into the sky. Fighters, bombers, and surveillance planes moved toward their targets. While the world slept, the operation began without warning. Electricity across Caracas was cut. Streetlights went dark and communication networks collapsed. People thought it was a normal blackout. In reality, it was cover for something far bigger. At 2 o'clock in the morning, explosions shattered the silence. Air bases, ports, and air defense systems were struck at the same time. Fire lit up the sky above the capital. This was not a declaration of war, but a message of dominance. Low over the sea, helicopters flew beneath radar detection. Inside them were Delta Force operators with no emotion on their faces. Their mission was simple and absolute. At 2:01 a.m., troops reached the fortified safehouse. Blowtorches burned through thick metal doors. Within seconds, American forces were inside the building. The president and his wife ran toward a steel safe room. They were stopped before the door could close. Gunfire erupted inside the compound. The security detail fought back but was quickly overwhelmed. Several guards were killed and resistance collapsed. A U.S. helicopter was damaged, but no American soldiers died. After minutes of chaos, silence returned. A man who once ruled a nation now stood in handcuffs. His eyes were covered and his hands were tied behind his back. Power disappeared faster than it had ever been gained. By 3:29 a.m., he was aboard a U.S. warship. Cold ocean air blew across the deck. An officer quietly confirmed that the target was secured. The morning after the capture, the world woke up to confusion and fear. News channels repeated the same headline again and again. A sitting president had vanished overnight. In Caracas, soldiers surrounded government buildings. Crowds filled the streets demanding answers. Some shouted for his return while others celebrated his fall. Emergency meetings were held behind closed doors. Officials argued over who now controlled the nation. Within hours, an interim leader was sworn in. She declared the capture illegal and demanded immediate release. Inside a secured facility far away, the captured president remained silent. He was questioned for hours and denied every accusation. He called himself a legitimate leader and said he had been kidnapped. In Washington, lawyers debated how far power could go. Some called it justice while others called it a dangerous precedent. Oil markets reacted instantly and prices jumped. Foreign investors froze assets. Military units across regions were placed on alert. Russia warned of consequences. China called the operation aggression. The United Nations held an emergency session. Speeches were long but decisions were short. No resolution was passed. The courtroom was silent when the former president was brought in wearing chains. Cameras flashed as the world watched. He stood straight and looked at the judge. He declared his innocence and claimed he was still the rightful leader. Prosecutors listed charges of drugs, weapons, and conspiracy. The defense argued that international law had been violated. Outside the courthouse, protesters gathered from both sides. Some demanded punishment while others demanded freedom. Governments around the world made quiet calculations. Some secretly approved of what had happened. Others feared they could be next. Diplomats searched for a compromise behind the scenes. Oil shipments slowed and markets remained unstable. Military exercises increased across several regions. Late at night, the former president sat alone in his cell. For the first time, the noise of power was gone. He realized how quickly loyalty disappears. He realized how fragile authority truly is. Back in his country, new leaders struggled to maintain control. Promises were made, but trust was missing. Protests continued and tension filled the streets. International pressure grew stronger every day. Talks of sanctions and secret deals filled the air. The final negotiations began in complete secrecy. Back-channel talks connected major world powers. Publicly, Everyone denied compromise. Privately, deals were written. Court hearings were delayed without explanation. Deadlines quietly moved. Behind the scenes, leverage was exchanged for silence. Oil contracts were rewritten and sanctions adjusted. One night, without cameras or announcements, the former president was moved. Official records labeled the transfer classified. No images were released. No statements were given. Days later, a vague announcement reached the public. The case had been resolved in the interest of global stability. No verdict was ever read. Some called it justice delayed. Others called it justice denied. A new political order slowly took shape. Life returned to the streets, but trust did not. Around the world, leaders quietly updated their security plans. The message was understood without being spoken. Power could cross borders when it chose to. International law remained written but uncertain. History would argue over what truly happened. Facts would blur into theories and theories into legends. The night of the capture became a warning. Not about one man, but about unchecked power. Because no throne is permanent, and no nation is beyond reach.